This is episode 161, 3 Things Holding You Back. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/blakemallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode.
Walk with me. So, what's holding you back right now? Kind of a interesting question, if taken literally. What is holding you back right now, in this moment, from you moving to your next level? Whatever your next level is. Such a simple question, but pretty profound if you think about it. For obvious reasons. If you know what's holding you back, you know where to focus in order to move forward. And so often we get stuck on not just like what we want, where we want to go, what we want to have, the thing we want to do, and why it's not happening for us right here, right now. But how often do we really ask, well, what's holding me back from that being my reality? In my experience, it's one of 3 things. I don't want to talk about those 3 things with y'all this morning, if that's okay, to create some awareness on maybe where we need to focus in order for each of us to move to our own next level of living, next level of life. And I know that no matter who you are, where you're going, this will be a good conversation today. So what's holding you back? I guess let's first establish the fact that I know if you're watching this right now, you want to move forward. Otherwise, you wouldn't have stopped the scroll. You wouldn't be tuning in. You wouldn't be searching for something. So what is that for you? And a lot of times when we ask, like, what do we want? Where are we trying to go? We immediately go to the professional category, and that's totally okay. You know, what is it that we want professionally? Financially, in our career, in our work, and what we spend our majority of our waking hours doing. Where is it that we want to go? But today's conversation isn't limited to professionally. It can be personally. What is it we're trying to move toward personally? What is kind of our own next level? I'm of the belief that we are built to progress. We were not designed to stand still. We were not created to stay stuck. We, built into our DNA, are meant to progress. We're meant to grow. We're meant to move. The old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying, I think is so true. So there is a next level. You know, sometimes we try to convince ourselves there isn't. We don't want anything. We don't need anything. Remove the things or physical items aside. We all want and need a lot of things. And I think part of the game of life is to constantly be pursuing our own potential, pursuing what we were created to do, who were we created to be, the impact we were created to make. I call it our meant to. Like, that's the game. To constantly be leveling up our life. So, I know there's more in you. I know there's more in all of us. I know there's a next level. Don't lie to yourself. Don't get stuck in a story, allowing complacency. There's always a new level, personally, professionally. What's keeping you from it? So I think there's 3 things that if I look back at not just my own experience, but in conversations with peers, mentors, thousands, if not tens of thousands of other creators, entrepreneurs, achievers, leaders, I'd say 3 buckets. The first thing that holds us back is biological. I think the first category we have to look at when asking, well, why aren't we moving toward our potential, the rate or pace or intensity we want? I think the first thing we got to ask ourselves, what's holding us back is it anything biological, as in physical? And this really gets to a health conversation. And I think everything has to start there, because before we carry on to number 2 and number 3, if we're not physically capable or physically in a state where we are ready and able to move, the rest is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible. And I always tell myself, without our health, we have nothing. And it's the truth. And I'm sure we've all had those seasons in our life where we got reminded of that so deeply. Whether it be a loved one, a family member, a friend, or maybe even ourselves have had some crazy health scares where it didn't matter what else was going on in life or work. All of a sudden, boom, we realized that our health is everything. And that's why I think first we got to ask ourselves, what's holding us back? Is it biological? In other words, is it something physical? Is it something that have to do with our health? We have to be in a state where we're able and capable. But it goes beyond that, right? Beyond just the quote unquote, I'm healthy, bare minimum standard. You're able to wake up in the morning, you're able to move your body, right? You're able to feel good. I think it goes beyond that when we talk biological. I think it goes beyond that in making sure that we're in a physical state where we have the energy to actually move forward. See, I think beyond just the normal standard of health that we accept as, well, there's nothing wrong with us. I'm not sick right now, right? Everything is okay. Most people stop there at that minimum threshold. And I've found just a growing conversation today where when you get in real dialogue with people, it's not just a baseline health that's the issue. It's the energy that's the issue. In other words, people just don't have the physical energy, the physical resilience, the physical endurance, the physical perseverance. Physically don't have the battery, don't have the power in order to pursue their next level. You know, we've had dialogue in the past, and if you've missed the podcast or want to review, we've had a conversation where we talked about energy management, where so often we get fixated on time management. We think time's the issue, but in today's day and age, I think energy management is even greater and more important than time management because of the world we're in. People are living in days where we not only go to bed tired, we wake up tired in the middle of the day that we're tired, and we're just always drained. Biological. So we got to make sure we take care of ourselves first. And this goes into all the things, It goes into diet and nutrition. It goes into optimum fuel. It goes into movement and exercise. But it goes deeper than that. It goes into self-care, to mindfulness, to making sure we're in a state where we can have the energy in order to pursue our best. Everything starts with that. If you don't have the battery, you don't have the power. And it might be as simple as that. It might be right now you need to prioritize your own health. If you ask what's really holding you back, it might be biological. It might be, you need to stop and make sure you are giving you time to recharge. You are giving you time, right, to power up. You are giving you the time to refuel. You got to prioritize you. And it might be that first layer, just a biological thing that's holding you back. And I think it has to start there. I think once we start prioritizing our health, right, prioritizing ourself, making sure we have the energy to move forward, then we can maybe look into the second category. And the second category, psychological, right? Where biological is about the physical, right? It's about the body. Psychological is about the mental. It's about the mind game. It's so interesting that sometimes just our own mindset, our own belief system, our own attitude are the things holding us back. I'll tell a story. I won't name names and I won't give details, but that doesn't matter. You'll get the concept. I was in a social environment super recently and just in casual conversation with new acquaintances, and was just in a dialogue where we were just talking about, things to do with our family, things to do with our kids, things we can do, around town. And, I threw out, one suggestion I was excited about, and the reply was, I heard that's really boring, or, I heard that's really bad. Oh, that's interesting. So I threw out another idea, just making conversation. Oh, I heard that was terrible. Oh, I heard that wasn't worth the money. And I tried one more thing, and I heard that it wasn't as good as people say it was. And I won't say what the things are because it's irrelevant. The point was I found myself sitting there, and I didn't bring up any more things because I noticed the pattern pretty quickly after 3. That it didn't matter what I was going to say, the response was going to be negative. And I ended up doing all those things anyway with my wife and with my kids and with myself. And, we had an absolute blast. We had an amazing time. The kids had a great experience in all of those things. We enjoyed the day. And I found myself thinking about that same person. I go, I wonder if they went and did the same thing on the same day, if they would have had the same response. And I don't think they would have. I think they would have found exactly what they were looking for. It's interesting how much you can call it an attitude, a perspective. At the end of the day, it comes down to a set of beliefs. Totally shape our experience. We find what we're looking for. And so often when it comes to what's holding us back, it comes down to a set of beliefs, a perspective, an attitude. And I'll let you off the hook here. I don't want to give it to you too hard, but the reality is most of those beliefs and that perspective, they were given to us by people and experiences around us that we had no control about. I mean, most of us are operating today from internal programming, the mind game that was given to us because of the family we were born into, or the teachers that we got assigned to, or the friends that we sat next to in class. Like, most of it is literally default programming that happened just by happenstance. We didn't choose this. But the problem is we grow older and we do have the ability to actually choose. We don't. We get stuck in a cycle. And that filter shapes our world. Psychological could be holding you back. Stinking thinking, right? Stinking thinking. If you have stinking thinking, you're going to have a stinking life. It's just the way it is. Limiting beliefs, a negative filter, a bad attitude. So you got to ask yourself, when it comes to what's holding you back right now, and maybe you're not that person that is negative about everything, but maybe you have a set of negative beliefs in a certain area, that you haven't reviewed, you haven't decided to rewire. You don't even know you're operating off of. And maybe those limiting beliefs are the very thing keeping you from where you want to go. You got to change your perspective to change your reality. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Everything starts with a mental shift. So once you have the biological, the physical energy taking care of yourself, you got to review the psychological. Is there a mindset shift that you need? Is there something holding you back? Is there a story you're stuck in telling yourself? Is there a reference you got to unwire? Is there a set of beliefs that were passed to you that you're still operating by that are keeping you from where you want to go? In the direction that you're focused on. What's holding you back? It might be psychological. And then the last one I'll mention, because for me, I believe it. For most people, it'll be the biological or it'll be the psychological. But I think when it comes to holding you back, there is another level, even when you feel like you're in a rhythm for both of those two. And I think that last level is spiritual. Because there could be spiritual things holding you back. And I won't go too deep here, and I promise you I won't get all woo-woo or mystic, but I believe there's something. And there seem to be a set of kind of, let's just call them spiritual laws of the universe, just the way things are, that the older I get, the more I believe in, because the more I see the patterns to be true over and over and over again. And there's just some spiritual laws that if you're going against, you're not going to achieve your next level. You're going to always have headwinds. Even if you got your biological dialed in, your psychological dialed in. When it comes to spiritual, they're easy to see because we'll keep having the same lesson over and over and over again show up in different ways until we get the lesson. Have you had that happen in your life? Where something happened and you missed it, and then it happened again in a different way at a different time, and maybe you got it or you missed it, and if you missed it, it happened again, because it'll keep showing up until you get it. It'll keep showing up in different ways until you get it. That's spiritual. It's just the way it is. I've also realized that when it comes to the spiritual lessons, they're not logical. They're not logical. Everything else is logical. It's linear. It's sequential. You can figure it out. But the spiritual laws, they don't work logically. Sometimes you really, really, really want something. Your next level, you see it, you feel it, you're moving toward it. But sometimes you gotta do something in an entirely different area of your life. Be kind over here. Give over here. Have gratitude over here. Be the parent you meant and want to be over here. Do something over here in this other area, seemingly disconnected. And then all of a sudden, the thing that you want most just unlocks and flows. It's just weird. It's not connected. It doesn't make sense, nor should it. That's why it's spiritual. It's in the spiritual bucket. The spiritual bucket doesn't make sense. And you just got to chalk it up to those things that don't make sense. That's why it's spiritual. If it made sense, it wouldn't be spiritual. But I'll tell you, the lesson will keep showing up until you get it. So get the lesson and accept the lesson. And I'll also tell you that we're built with an internal compass to move us in a direction we're meant to. It is, we feel it. Some people call it their gut. Others call it their intuition, that feeling. Some people say listen to their heart. We have language for all of these things. I don't care what you call it. Follow it. Follow it. Because those things will move you in a direction you're meant to go. And the more that you neglect that internal compass, the more conflict, the more obstacle, the more struggle, the more stuck you'll stay. You got to focus on the biological. You got to have the energy. You got to focus on the psychological. You have to have the attitude and the mindset. But then you got to listen to and trust the spiritual, because that's the compass that's going to move you in the direction that you want to go, and allow things to flow in a way. It doesn't have to be a constant push. So my question for all of you is, where are you stuck right now? the direction you want to go, the life you want to live, the mentor that you're created for, all that's possible. What's holding you back? What is holding you back right now? Is it biological? Then I challenge you to put your health first. Do something to make your health the priority. Focus on that energy. Give yourself the time to power up. Is it psychological? Stinking thinking, something holding you back. You got to rewrite the story in your head. What story is that? And are there any spiritual lessons that keep showing up that you know it's there? Stop ignoring it. You finally got to let go and give into, so you can move to that next level that's meant for you. Give you one more view from the top. Sun is out today. Look at that view. Clear skies. Finally. No rain. I read a meme the other day that I can remember. That one time in LA where it was sunny and it started raining and raining some more and raining some more and raining some more. It's rained so much this year. I know. I can't complain. I'm sure a lot more parts of the world have been crazy, but for us out here in Southern California, man, started to get depressed. I need some sun. Good to have it back. It feels good. And here's to utilizing this week to figuring out what we need to do in any of the categories, biological, psychological, or spiritual, in order for us to move toward what we're meant to do, who we're meant to be, the impact we're meant to make. Till next time, take care, everybody.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.